everybody. So I guess you have enough energy for this last talk of the day, since we had a lot of interesting talk from morning to afternoon. So I hope you still have some energy for this my talk. So we are here to talk about social networks, and in particular about the privacy of social network. So who is the big brother? Okay? Why we are talking of the privacy of social network? But it's pretty easy. I mean, mainly because social network have experienced a huge surge in popularity. So the last time I present something on social network, Facebook had 5 million active users. When I did the slide last week, on the Facebook site, they are claiming to have more than 800 million active users. And Facebook is actually the second most visited site. So everybody is using social network, and the problem is that the amount of personal information that are stored there, they require for appropriate security precaution. The problem is that people often, normal user, but probably are not computer scientists, are not aware of all the possibility in which this information that is stored on the social network can then be used and abused by malicious users. This is why we decided to, together with some colleague of mine, to study this problem. And here you have an overview of the different security attacks against social networks. So just briefly about myself. So actually I'm Italian. You can probably understand by my English. But I moved to South France, where I'm actually doing my Ph.D. in a research lab. And we work on different topics ranging from malware analysis to web security, to botnet detection and so on. And we, in this last year, we focus also on social networks because there are a lot of problems actually that are interesting to study. Okay, so the first part of the talk is about what I call automated querying attack. So this is the first attack we're going to analyze. And so there is a person there, an email, because this attacks is related to the fact that somebody can actually map your profile on a social network with your private email address. Okay, and usually the email address is considered private information, so you can really understand what is the problem there. So let's start from what is called the finding friend functionality. So different networks, such as Facebook, MySpace, and LinkedIn, offer a possibility to look up for an email address, in the sense that the email address is used as a key to see if one of your friends is registered on these networks. Okay, so this is a very useful information, because when you join a network, usually you don't have friends. So what you want to do, you want to know if some of your colleagues, for example, is on the network. So what you can do, you can use, for example, LinkedIn, the functionality that allows to look up people by specifying their email address. So actually there are two possibilities. The first one, you can see there on the left, is actually to provide to the network your email account and your password. And what the network will do, the network will log to your account and will retrieve your contact list. And then from the contact list, it will check if your contacts are actually registered on the social network. This is the first possibility. And almost all the social networks provide the support for Gmail, so you can give to the network your Gmail account and you have automatically all your contacts imported in the social network. The other possibility is to specify the email address manually, or even in the case of Facebook, to upload a contact file. So you can have your email client, like Outlook. You can export your list of contacts, and then you can upload this contact file to Facebook, and Facebook will look up for your friends. Okay? So this is a pretty useful feature, but as always in security, or as often, when there is a new feature, problems come along with it. So, yeah, so let's see if some of you have already understand what is the problem here. Okay, we have one voluntary from Japan.
Yes. I'm not sure I have it fixed, but from the screenshot which you had, it was to provide your email address and the password for the email account. Is that right?
Yeah, that can be a problem, but it's not the point. I mean, in that case, yeah, you should trust the network. I mean, you just provide your credential to the network and you say, okay, network, retrieve information for me. Because I'm lazy and I don't want to export the contact files of my friends. Okay, so yeah, that could be a problem. I mean, you should trust the network. But in any case, yeah, a lot of our passwords are stored server side of the provider. So it's part of the game. Okay, another possibility. Yeah, you have a microphone.
You publish another person's private email addresses without them knowing it, basically.
Sorry, I don't understand you.
You publish other person's email address without them knowing it to some sites, basically.
Yeah, exactly. This is one. Yeah, this is one point actually, that you can map a list of email address to their profiles. So basically, suppose that you have a list of emails and you want to know to whom these emails they belong to. So you can easily query the social network and ask the social network to give you all the profiles. This is one problem. The second problem is that spammers can easily validate their email address. Okay? So suppose I have 1 million emails address, okay, that I collect, okay, somehow. Or I generate, suppose I generate them randomly, okay, I don't want to spam all of them, probably because most of them, since I generated randomly, are not valid. So what I can do, I can use the social network to validate this address. Or even, I can do target attack. So suppose I have a list of emails address, I want only to look up for those that are Italians, because I want to spam an Italian product, okay? Or I want to write my mail in Italian, okay? I want to spam something in Italian. So I can easily look up for information and target only certain type of person. So these are actually the problem there. And another interesting thing is that on different networks, you have a possibility for querying thousands of email addresses easily in a couple of seconds. Like Facebook allow, for example, to query up to 10,000 email address in a single post. So you can actually validate a million of email address easily in a day with a single machine. So this allow, for example, to spammer to just reduce the number of possible valid email address. Another interesting thing, what you can do, actually this is another experiment we did. So what you can start from some address, you can look up this address and find some profiles that match this address. And then Facebook give you the list of friends of these people. So starting from the list of friends, you can actually fuzz the email address. So suppose your friend is called foobar, you can start fuzzing and say, okay, maybe his address, maybe there is something that is called foo.bar@gmail.com or foobar@gmail.com or fbar@gmail.com. So you can collect the friends of the friends, create an email, a list of possible email address, you query the social network again, you retrieve the email address that are valid, you get the list of the friends, and then you continue and you iterate. So possibly you can continue doing like that and extract a lot of information. So just an example. What we did, we analyzed different networks that support this finding friend functionality. And among this network, you have internet sites that are used for business, like LinkedIn and Xing. Sites that are used for meetings or for relation, like Badoo and MySpace, or Friendster, and then you have a famous site like Facebook. And as you can see, this is the amount of data I was able to extract, starting from 10,000 million address in a single day. Okay, so we have, as you can see, 55K of valid profile that I was able to dump on Badu, up to more than 500,000 on Facebook. And of course this is anonymized, but each line of this file is made of email address, ID, okay, that is the ID of the profile in the network, nickname, and real name. Okay, so, I mean, from the privacy point of view, this is a real problem. The second step was to correlate them. So what's the idea there? The idea is, so let's come back here. You see, I have different networks. So suppose you are registered on 2 different networks. For example, I don't know, you are registered, suppose, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, using the same email address. That's bingo. What I can do, I can actually correlate these 2 profiles' identities using your email address. So the email address becomes the key for correlate 2 profiles. And this is actually the idea. So what we can do, we can correlate the profile among the different vulnerable networks, and we can then build an enriched identity. So an identity over the different networks. Okay, what's the problem there? For this question, what's the problem with matching and correlating profiles with the same email address on different networks? Let's see if some security aware user come up with a possible impact. Okay?
So I'll talk loud. Basically, the issue I see is that if I try to manage what I let people see about me, or if I sort my personal data into security models, and they can cross-link me across networks, then that's useless. So if I put something in one network that I consider more secure, but I can still be found from a network that's insecure, I'm still screwed.
Bingo! Yeah, exactly. That's the idea. So suppose you are registered on LinkedIn with your personal information, and then at the same time you go on a network that you use to meet, I don't know, people around, and you register with your nickname, and maybe you even use information that are somehow wrong or fake. So you can, I mean, usually you can say, okay, nobody will understand who I am because I register with a nickname. Oh no, this is actually the case of MySpace often, or a Badu site that is, of Badu, for example, that is used for meeting people, for find new girl, new man, new friends, relation. The idea there, you can match and you can actually discover who the people are. So what we did, we built an automated system that does it easily, comfortable. So it's, I don't go into detail, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, everybody can do it. It's just a matter of reverse the protocol, the web protocol used for upload contact list, fetch data, and correlate. So it's a matter of scripting, basically. And we took 10 million email address that we found on a command and control server that was taken down by a friend of mine, and that was probably used for spam purpose. So we had a lot of spam email that were left on this compromised server. So we just took the email and we just unique them, sorted them. So we had 10 million email address. And what we did, we look up this 10 million email address over these 8 different social networks. So there are actually 2 methods, as I was telling you before. So either you upload directly your contact list, so your list of email, or the other possibility is you upload your list to Gmail, and then you say to the network to look up your contact list from Gmail. It's basically the same. One is more fast. So one is faster because you directly upload your contact list to the network, like in Facebook. The other one is a bit slower. So depending on the network, you can see that we were able to identify up to, in Facebook, 10 million email address in a day. And there are networks that are a bit slower, like MySpace, where you can only do 500,000 email in a day. This is, of course, starting from a single account and a single machine, single IP. So you can even iterate and go faster. And so the first phase here was to look up this email address, find the profiles with whom was registered this email address, and extract the information from these profiles. Okay, some of the information we extract concern, for example, the age of these people, their sex, their language, their job, their education, their current relation status, if they're looking for new people, for new, in a sense, for doing some friendship relation, and the sexual preference. So, for example, we have, I don't know, a man that is from Seattle and is single, and is English and is a job instructor, okay, and he say that he has a reasonable income. Or we have a girl, 23 years old, female, from Paris. She's open to new relations, so she's looking for somebody, and she's lesbian. And she also speaks English, okay? And she's a smoker. Or we have a guy that is 25, this is a gay, and he's a disegnator grafico. So, you know, these are just 3 simple examples. So let's imagine that we have more than 1 million of this, okay? So what about if I grab in the list of LinkedIn accounts profile for the project manager at Microsoft? What about if I iterate instead over the security engineer and I pipe them in a way that I grab for their email address and then I look up this email address in MySpace and in Badoo, you know? So I can find all the tons of profiles, okay, that maybe belong to anonymous person that have registered with a nickname, but that at the same time are maybe project manager in Microsoft or are a security engineer somewhere. So this is what we did automatically. So we have, as you can see, out of more than 800 profiles, there are, most of them are registered just on a network, while there are users that register on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 networks at the same time. So there are 11 users that have registered on 7 of our 8 networks at the same time. So they are really addicted probably to social networking sites, because I don't know how many of us are registered to 8 networks or 7 networks, but even with the same email address, so that's scary. So just let's consider, for example, the sex. This is interesting. The sex. If we correlate our profiles and then we build these identities across different profiles, we can check how many of them actually pretend to be men on a network and female on another one. And look, 12% of them actually pretended to be man and female at the same time. Right? Then we have, of course, that 1 out of 3 lie on the age. So pretend maybe to be, maybe he's, I don't know, he's like 50 years old, officially on LinkedIn, but then he's maybe 35, 40 on other networks. And the same is with the name, you know. A lot of 72% actually use different names across profiles. Even thought many of them actually change. 20% of them, 70% change the name on 4 different profiles at the same time, because they don't want that we can match them, we can find them. And this is actually the work of, for example, human resources. So when you do interviews with companies, they want to find out the most of you. So what if I would sell this software to human resources? Because now human resources will just look up on LinkedIn, no? Everybody in LinkedIn pretends to be the best, with the best career. But what about a tool that automatically correlates this profile with, I don't know, with Badu, Facebook, where actually you have, I don't know, photo of you compromising, doing something. So for example, we have a project manager of my team is claiming to be much younger, of 10 years on a dating site. A professor of a US university is registered with a completely mismatched profile on dating network, and my married manager that is 51 is looking for a new woman. So of course there are some countermeasures for that, and one is to not provide directly a direct map between email and user. So for example, you can look up for email address, but the social network won't tell you which of email address you look up belong to whom. So you have 10 email address, you look up for them and you say, okay, there are 10 users on my network, but I don't tell you which email to belong to whom. Of course, the problem is still there because you can look up each email address singular, one per one, but it's much slower. The other solution is to limit the amount of queries that you can do at the same time, because it's not reasonable that somebody has more than 10 million emails, 10 million friends, and you want to look up these 10 million friends every day on every network. And this is exactly what the social network has answered me. So LinkedIn now restrict your account if you look up for friends every day, because I mean it makes sense when you log in at the beginning that you don't have friends, but it does not make sense that you do it every day. And the same is with Facebook. Okay, Facebook tell you you have exceeded the limit of uploading contact files. So at least on this side, this social network I contact, they answer pretty rapidly and they partly fix the problem. That's good. I mean, from a research point of view, I like when I have feedback and people actually have a affected provider answer positively and fix the problem. Okay, so this is the first part. I'm going probably a bit slow because there are 5 parts. It's just the first one, so probably I speed up. So the second one is about social engineering. Okay, social engineering is the art of manipulating people into performing action or divulging confidential information rather than by breaking in or using technical cracking techniques. This is from Wikipedia. Okay, here we talk of reverse social engineering attacks. Why reverse? Because the classic social engineering attacks, in a classic social engineering attack, the attacker contact directly his victims. For example, Kevin Mitnick picked telephones, called directly the victim and talked to him. Okay? Instead, in a reverse social engineering attack, the attacker feed his victim with a pretext and then wait that is the victim to make the initial approach. Okay? Why we want to do this? Because it's less suspicious. He can bypass current behavioral and filter-based detection. Okay? For example, you can check how many times you look up for friends. This is a filter-based detection. And you can reach millions of users on social network easily. Okay, so why we have this idea of doing reverse social engineering attacks? The problem came from the fact that in the experiment we did before, I was using a fake Facebook account. Okay. And after I finished the experiment, one day I log in and I saw this account had 26,000 friend requests. I say, wow, how come? No, I have my personal account, but I never expected 26,000 friend requests. So many that if I try to send a friend request to this account, I had, sorry, this user already too many friend requests. You have to process them. Okay, so we process them easily. We have a script, log in on Facebook, process the friend's request, start process, until I got too many connections. Sorry, you cannot create any more connection. How come? Yeah, because I got 5,000 friends. That's the maximum. So let's imagine I have this fake account I use for lookup email address in our experiment. I had a lot of friends requests. I process them. This is like a pipeline. I reach the top of 5,000 friends. And then there are all the 21,000 that are still waiting there. And this graph on the left show you in a year how many friends requests I receive per day. So you have about from 80 to 100 friends requests per day. So my question is, how come everybody wants to become friend of this fake profile? I mean, I did nothing with this fake profile. I just look up for emails. So what I did, in a day, I look up for 10 million email addresses. Okay, nothing strange, I mean. So the problem is that actually on Facebook, this is what we discover. You know, in Facebook you have this come later. Okay, in Facebook, when you log in on the right, you have this box that tell you, hey, do you know, maybe Paul is friend of you, or maybe Luis is friend of you. So this is this pop-up show you possible friends based on, I don't know, mutual connection, for example, or based on the fact that you study in the same school. Actually, what we discovered is that if you look up for an email address, Facebook thinks that you are a friend. And so Facebook was showing up this nice girl to all my million of poor victims, you know. He was showing up all the time, every day. This is a friend of you because she looked up for your email address. This is a friend of you, she looked up for your email address. So actually we found a way to exploit this friend suggestion box of Facebook only by looking up email address. This is still possible. So if, for example, you like a girl of yours, so it's enough to look up for her email address, automatically Facebook will start suggesting you to her. You know, even if you don't know her at all, you know, maybe you just got her email address from the list of students of her university, so you look up for email address and you start biting her, say, hey, I'm here, I'm friend of you, maybe we are good friends, you don't know from the school, maybe you're friend. So what about this account? This account received thousands of messages saying, hey, I'm Harry, I just log in and read that you are in an open relationship. How is that working with you? I have a little bit of experience with this, but I don't know, like, congratulations, you're a beautiful, nice girl, I'd like to know you. And look, I did nothing. I mean, I was there, and then I started writing me, kisses, Enrico. Hey, I think I'm here to hook up with people. Also, I made my own group, Emotional Support for People with Problems. Please consider joining us. I don't know who you are. You seem showing up on my Facebook, add Alison as your friend. So this message is just proving that actually, yeah, the idea is that one, that you look up for email address and Facebook suggests you. And then this one say, so I try to figure out how come we know each other. I see you have like 20 billion friends. Guess I want to look through all of them. I cannot understand how come we are friends. Hey, thanks for your poker. Would love to take you out sometimes. And he gave me his telephone number as well. Okay, so this is what we call recommendation-based attack. So this box here, where you have, actually it's not this one, but show up with your friends, is called the recommendation box. So this is a recommendation-based attack. Then there is another attack that is called demogration-based attack, and this works well in such a network like Badu, that are actually done for to make people meet in real life. So the demogration-based attack, you just create a profile. You say, okay, I live in Kuala Lumpur, and I'm 25 years old. And you stay there, and automatically people start come to you. And who? The people from Kuala Lumpur and from the region. So this is the demographic-based attack. Okay. The other one instead is called visitor tracking, and it works very well in LinkedIn. For example, now in LinkedIn, when you log in, on the right, there is a box telling you who has visited your profile. So you can click and you can say, HR from this company. Or you can say, security engineer from this company. And so, okay, usually you are interested to see, an HR from this company has looked at my profile. Yeah, maybe very interested. So you can click and you can see his profile as well. So this is, the idea here is that you visit as much people as you want. This is very easily, it's a script, so you can visit millions of profiles daily, every day of a week, every week of a month. And then you wait that they visit your profile and they send you the friend request. Okay, so these are 3 different techniques. Okay, I don't go into the details of, actually, we did different experiments, so we create different profiles, men, girls, young, old, and we study how much they are effective. And I can point you to some of our related work that tell you which profile are more effective. You can even understand it by yourself, but probably which profile is the most effective. The number, I want to see a girl saying number 1. Come on, it's also pretty. Okay, so the idea here is that basically if you want to attract, I don't know, young people, you have to create a profile of a young person. Instead, if you want to attract people that are maybe old and they are, old, or they are from the US, you have to create a profile in the US that is old as well. So people try to contact people that are of the same age and usually in the same location. So I have different graphics that I skip because we have a lot of things to say. So what we learn is that the pretext is really important, critical for this reverse social engineering attack, where you send this pretext that actually break the ice. And Facebook is the network that provides the strongest pretext system, and is also pretty easily to exploit. There are for this different countermeasures. So the social network provider should probably verify that you have some connection before suggesting you as friend. So for me, it's not enough to look up for an email address and claim that you are friends. So we should maybe check that you have a certain degrees of friends in common. And then there are other solutions, for example, to adapt behavioral techniques to this reverse social engineering, or to use CAPTCHA for incoming friend requests. So you cannot accept this friend's request automatically. Good. So we go now into chapter 3, and chapter 3 is another technique that has been proposed by some colleagues of mine, and the idea was to clone existing profiles. Okay, so there are profiles that are very famous, that belongs to famous person, and it's enough that you clone one of this, and everybody want to become your friends probably. And in Facebook, you can easily clone a profile and use the same name. So if I look up, for example, for my name on Facebook, there are different people with my name. So I can easily clone an existing profile of a famous actor and stay there and wait that people become my friend. So this is called cloning attack. And so yes, the idea is to clone the information of a victim, okay? And either you stay there and you wait the people become friend of you, or you can even contact them directly and you send them friend request. And most of the victims, they are pretty stupid, because even if they have already this friend in their friends list, they don't know, because maybe they have 300 friends, so they still accept my friend request, even if they have already the friend and they are in their network. What you can do, you can even do cloning attack on different networks. So this is pretty interesting. So suppose I want to clone somebody called John. So I go on Facebook, I go on John profile, I retrieve a list of friends. Then what I can do, I can go on another network like MySpace or LinkedIn, whatever you want. I can create a profile called John, And then I start sending the friend, I check if the list of his list of friends is present also on LinkedIn, and then I start friend request to them. And then I create the same profile, fake profile with the same group of friends. And then I can start sending them spam or what I want. Then there are what's called the pseudo-cloning attack. So that means, yeah, you see, you have somebody called Danielle and you have somebody called Catherine. Even they are two females names, but we have the same picture of a guy. How come? So now Facebook has a solution for that. Solution. If you find out that there is a profile similar to yours, so you're surfing, you say, "Oh wow, this is myself." How come? So actually, you can send an inquiry to Facebook saying, "Hey, this profile is pretending to be someone else." Actually, is pretending to be either somebody I know, or is pretending to be a celebrity, or is pretending to be me. So you can actually send to Facebook this request. Okay, so now you have seen that there are different ways for collecting easily thousands of friends. So now what we can do, we can exploit the trust. Okay, so suppose you are an attacker. One thing is to send drive-by download links, or links contain malicious code by mail to random people. One thing is to send this one by mail to people that you have already validate existing and you know where they are, you know which language they talk. Another thing is to send them this information over Facebook, so your friend. Okay? So the idea is to leverage our new friends, the fact that I'm friend of a lot of people. So again, with this fake profile that has thousands of friends, what we did a drive-by download experiment. So I set up an internet site, okay, called movie.hamradiooperator.net, and then I just posted this on the wall. And as you can see, everybody is getting interested. You know, I think there are many people that don't know what to do with their life, so they wait that one friend posts something and they just go there and click and see what happened. So if we click here on this link, this is actually what cannot locate the internet server or proxy. Ah, no wireless here. Pity for you. So if you go there on this site, there is, maybe you can paste and copy. There is actually a video of a guy. Yeah, it's a funny video of a campaign against the abuse of alcohol, and it's pretty funny. So while the video is running, okay, my users are there. They are looking at the video. There is a code on the back that actually it's pretty easy. Sometimes the code I wrote that tests the version of your operating system, of your Firefox, of the plugin that are installed, and so on. And send this information to a server of mine where there is some save PHP code that collect. So the idea is, suppose I'm a malicious user and I just post a link, okay, to my 5,000 friends. How many of them actually in a day visit these links? And how many of them use a browser that I could potentially exploit to infect their PC? Here we are. So we analyzed actually the plugin for PDF, so Acrobat Reader, DivX, Flash. And in a day I got 202 unique access. And of these 202, like half of them has either PDF or Flash that is vulnerable to this critical vulnerability here, or DivX. So this vulnerability are remote code execution, so all of them actually allow the execution of code on the user, on the PC of the victim. So in this case, this means that more than 100 of them would have been exploited by a code of mine. So this is the idea. You see, the idea is that now attackers are really targeting social networks. So it's pretty easy to collect, to create fake profile or to leverage the system of a network to create friendship, and then you use this trust model to infect easily their victim, their computer. This is how botnet often propagate. And so how do you spread an infection? Okay. So one way is to use the classic clickjacking methods. I don't know how many of you, so we can skip it, know how it works, clickjacking. How many know how it works? Okay, 5. Okay, so I think I have to explain how it works, clickjacking. So clickjacking is a web attack where you have where a transparent iframe is put on top of a window. So suppose you have, for example, on Twitter, okay, you have a malicious URL, okay, that you want to spread to your victims. So what you can do, you can put the Twitter button that share where it's free to, for example, share on your friends. You put it on a hidden transparent, and then at the same time you put a window with some content of it, and that using some social engineering techniques force you to click somewhere on the window. When you click, actually, instead of clicking where you actually supposed to click, you click, for example, on the button of Twitter that allow to post this information on your wall. So it's a technique finally used to push the user on clicking somewhere where he's not supposed to click. And now clickjacking has been redesigned with a new name called likejacking. So in Facebook you have this button that say, okay, I like as well this content. Suppose a friend of you has a nice video. He posts a video on his wall. Okay, you log in on Facebook, you see the friend of you with a video, and you say, wow, cool, I like as well this video. So you click on the like button. When you click on the like button, you will have this video posted on your wall as well. Then what happens? Happens that a friend of you look at the video, is a friend of you, say, oh wow, yeah, this is a cool video. I like it. So you click like and you get post. So the idea is that now worms are using clickjacking techniques to force their victim into clicking this like button. In this way, the worm can propagate over Facebook easily among millions of victims. Nowadays there are, for example, video that are propagating and are using this technique. And so what this worm do, they propagate using this likejacking attack, and at the same time they probably embed some drive-by download JavaScript, similar to that one I showed you before. So they exploit the browser of a different victim, and in this way they propagate, for example, a bot. Okay, so this is a vector often used to propagate a bot and to create this big botnet of millions of users of PC. So one famous example is, for example, Kubeface. So Kubeface is a recent botnet that has been discovered leveraging social networks to propagate. It's pretty interesting because the method is using to propagate. So basically it works like that. You got infected somehow by Kubeface. What Kubeface does, he actually recovers some credential, your credential, your Facebook credential, from your computer, and it uses this credential to log in as you, and then it posts on your wall a link to a malicious site. For example, like this. A link say, dad works on his daughter, embarrassing. or lol, this girl get owned after a police officer read or statute message. This is how it starts to propagate the worm. Then what happens that the users click on this. When the user click on this, they get redirected to a page, and this page automatically exploits the browser and so compromise the PC. So this is one way to propagate. The second way to propagate is with kubeface. I mean, when the PC is infected by kubeface, he add to the Windows XP login a system for resolving CAPTCHA. In this way, use their victim to solve CAPTCHA, and the CAPTCHA that are solved are used for creating a new Facebook account. Because now, when you create a Facebook account, you need to resolve the CAPTCHA. So the question is, how can a malware resolve the CAPTCHA automatically? Easily. You can hijack the window of the victim with the CAPTCHA, and the victim will solve for you the problem. So this is an example of new malware that spread over social network with these new techniques. There are thousands of this, and this is why we're here to discuss of this problem. Okay, so we have 30 minutes left. I can show you what some colleagues of mine are doing in where we are working. So we developed this system called Safebook, and this is actually a social network that tries to overcome some of the problem of existing network. So, for example, there is cloning attack, where you can clone the identities of the people, cloning the identity of famous authors, for example. Using Safebook is not possible because we have a system based on signing, based on where the identity are signed by certification authority. This proves that actually the people that are registered are really people that are actually real people, are not fake profiles. Okay, so let's start to analyze this. If you're not tired, just 5 minutes, then I give it to question. So one idea is that to use this trusted identification service to prevent possible cloning attack or possible fake profiles. This is one idea. The second idea is to use a peer-to-peer network where the different users, so everybody using Safebook, is actually part of this peer-to-peer network, and the idea is that the data, instead of being centralized to the provider, so if you think now all your data are owned by Facebook. Facebook can sell your data to company that does publicity, so your data are there and they can use it for publicity purpose, advertisement. So your data belongs to Facebook. And I think there is a research that say that, I don't remember if, I think the price range in average to $100 per month per user. So your data your data costs are sold by Facebook to companies for about $100 a month. So the idea is, okay, we have this Safebook, the data are not centralized to the provider, but are stored in the peer. So I have friends, the idea is that my friends will hold my data, okay? This is the first thing. The second thing. The other thing is that there is no big brother that actually can read my data or can sniff the information. Like in Facebook now you have this chat system, and a lot of people using to chat with their friends. Okay, nobody prevents us from being intercepted and sniffed. So instead, in Safebook, the information are actually between the different hoops are encrypted, and so we try also to prevent this big brother attack. So I don't go probably into the design because, yeah, maybe you can ask me if you are interested. But probably, yeah, the idea is pretty much this one I was telling you, to use peer-to-peer architectures to store the data, your data to the peers. And there is a system that is similar to the CAD. I don't know if you know the CADzilla network. It's a kind of peer-to-peer network. And this system allows you to make your data available also when you are not online, also when your friends are not online. And identities are actually signed by certification authority so that they cannot be cloned. Okay, so I skip this profile lookup. So this because otherwise you get bored. Okay, I think you get the idea of the talk. So it was to show how the data that you store on your network can be abused by attackers in different way to do for example, spam, for validation of emails, can be used by malware to propagate and to infect your PC, or can be used to for example, by botnet to create this big botnet of infected PC. Okay, great. Yeah, we are 8 minutes earlier, but I think it's enough to give an idea. Just pose question if you have. Otherwise, yeah, you can contact me. I will be here for the whole time. I can point you to some interesting resource, or I can show you some offline interesting things.
Any questions, or you just want to share your Facebook ID with him?
They are saying that in Asia, they don't do. People are not used to make a question.
That's a challenge. I recognize that as a challenge.
Yeah, I saw today that. I don't.
There you go.
Ah, wow, awesome.
Hi, Mr. Balduzzi.
Hey.
Just want to ask some questions regarding just now in the beginning you are showing you are crawling the Facebook profiles. So when you are crawling
using the email address, I look up email address and try to find if there are some profiles registered with those email addresses.
Yeah. So when you are doing the crawling, does the Facebook ever give you any problems? Do they ever started to investigate your actions?
No, nothing. Zero. Completely. Yeah, for them it's normal. You look up 10 million email address in a day using one account.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But they fixed them rapidly when I was explaining them that probably is not normal.
Okay. So they have never investigated your activities, anything?
No.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, but they are pretty busy. Yeah?
Any other questions from the floor? No? Okay, well, he will be around today and tomorrow as well. Feel free to approach Marco directly and be his Facebook friend.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you.